So let's talk, and let's talk about talking. It's actually pretty complex. Specifically, let's talk about talking with our learners. And honestly, there's so many different ways to do it. Today, I want to talk about limiting your language, when you need to be verbose, and when you need to be lengthy. And there is, in fact, a difference between being verbose and being lengthy. My name is Alicia. I am a licensed behavior analyst, and I'm a parent coach. Talking with our kids is all about balancing clarity and engagement. The way we use language, whether you're being brief or detailed, can really shape how and what they understand and how they feel connected to you. But first, let's define a few things. The difference between verbose and simply using more words lies in the quality and in the intent behind the communication. Verbose language involves using more descriptive and specific words to explain things in detail and in a thoughtful way. It's not about just adding more words, but it's about providing a deeper explanation, using varied vocabulary and using just more context. So for example, instead of just saying, the dog is big, verbose description might look like, the dog is very large with thick fur and broad chest, and when it walks, its paws might have this heavy thudding sound. Do you see how many adjectives I used to describe the details about how big the dog is? It's more than just filling the space. It's intentional. Being wordy, on the other hand, means just speaking longer, but without providing additional meaningful details or clarity. It might make the conversation seem longer, but not necessarily being informative. It's kind of like repetition. So for example, again, using the example, instead of saying the dog is big, we're going to say the dog is really big, and it looks really big when it's around the house, and when it's sitting, it's still really big. Now, what's the difference? Let's talk about Cliff Notes really quick. I gotcha. Verbose language adds depth, detail, and clarity, enhancing vocabulary, whereas more words and being wordy might just provide that repetition that is necessary or excessive elaboration that doesn't add much value. It's kind of hard to pull out those key points, but I'm elaborating. Now, when you hear those definitions, you kind of hear that being wordy is negative, but it's not. It's about your intent. Sometimes being wordy in the sense of giving more detail is actually useful. So when should you be wordy? Well, wordy is useful when your learner is unfamiliar with a topic and just needs more from you. Or when you're trying to persuade your learner, you might need to have more repetition. Okay, now let's move on and let's talk about when to be verbose and when to limit your language. Okay, so first things first, when to be verbose. You want to be verbose when your learner requires a little bit more emotional processing. If a child is upset or confused emotionally, it helps to model that emotional vocabulary and reasoning that maybe they don't have. It's also helpful during those curiosity moments when they're asking a ton of why questions, okay? Being verbose can fuel that for curiosity. You just have to match their energy, give them more language. You also are verbose when you want to build language skills. Hearing rich descriptive language helps your learners expand their own vocabulary during those moments when needed. Now, on the flip side, when do you want to limit that language? You want to limit the language when you're setting boundaries and giving instructions. You want to be direct and clear. Too many words can confuse the message. Shoes on, please. We're leaving in 2 minutes is so much better than this huge long explanation about why time management matters. Okay, not in that moment. There's a time and a place, it's not then. Another time is during heated moments. If they're overwhelmed or upset or melting down, less is so much more. Simple, calm phrases make them feel safe. Repetition. Sometimes our learners need repetition. If it's a routine or known expectation, short reminders work better than rehashing this full reasoning for what they're doing and why. Those are times to be short. It really comes down to when you're tuning into the moment with the learner, reading their cues, their developmental stage, and what they can take at that moment. Language is really complex, and because of that complexity, we should use it to its fullest. Does your learner need to be engaged, intrigued, convinced by a wordy story? Or is it this moment we need to be concise because their brain can't possibly try to decipher even more? Or do we need to expand their language through ours? Tune into your learner, their cues, and what it is that they need.